What's up, everybody? Welcome to Dangerology. I am your host, Cuts My Finger. You know, as I'm saying this intro, I think I may have dressed a little bit incorrectly for today's topic, shop safety. This is a big one. This is a huge one. In fact, this is so important that nothing I ever say or I ever do will be more important than this video. Now, I did dress incorrectly. This is what I usually have on when I go running. I kind of forgot the topic of this video until I looked at the invisible teleprompter behind the screen. So do disregard that, but it is raining and my head will be protected and cars will see me. So yeah, I'm gonna be okay. But are you gonna be okay when you go to your shop and you start using dangerous tools and doing dangerous things? What's gonna happen then? Are you gonna be safe then? Well, I'm gonna tell you guys exactly what you need so that you don't show up to the shop dressed like me and you have the right gear and you don't look like a fool. And you don't have to go running in, calling 911s because you cut your finger off or you sliced open your hand or a shard of metal went into your eyes. This is serious business. People get hurt all of the time. So don't let yourself slack on shop safety. Let's do this. All right, guys. After all that madness, after the ridiculous displays of clothing options or lack thereof, I'm actually going to dive into what you should have in your shop or in your truck for a job site, whatever, so that you can be safe in any given situation. Let's figure this out. All right, guys. Shop safety is not rocket science. Job site safety is not rocket science. For the most part, I'm talking to those of you that are DIYing, doing stuff at home. If you're also somebody that works on a job site, all of this applies to you. You just might not need a few of the various things that I have here because your line of work just doesn't really require it. Let's start with the most basic concept ever. Never work on anything that could even remotely throw debris, shrapnel, dust, whatever, without some proper eye protection. Guys, this is important. Your eyeballs, you only get 2 of them. Unless you want to be walking around like Patchy McPatcherson, you need to take care of them. It doesn't matter if you're hammering stuff. It doesn't matter if you're cutting stuff, grinding on stuff, whatever. Cutting down tree branches. You need to protect your eyes. So you get options. See, I've got options for you. The most basic of which, safety glasses. Safety glasses. These things are fantastic. They don't have to be expensive. These might have been $20, $30-ish from Home Depot. These are, of course, Milwaukee because I'm a Milwaukee fanboy. But that's not the point. These are fantastic. They're anti-fog. They've got a gasket that fills in the gapping between the glasses and my eyes. They're amazing. But maybe you're working with chemicals, or maybe you're working with high-powered water, like a pressure washer. Goggles, just like in 8th grade science class. You're not too cool to be safe. Goggles, these things are so cheap. I literally think this is the same pair from when I was in grade school or high school. No lie. but I've always kept them around because they are important to have. So if you're working with high-powered stuff, chemicals, or you're doing other things like cutting or scraping, these are great too. Boom. If you're not working with chemicals or you're not working with high-powered water, these are the jam. All right, these are the jam, and really these have gotten so good that they'll protect you against pretty much anything. So these are crucial. Now, here's the thing. I believe in 2 is always better than 1 most of the time. In this case, I believe that when you can wear 2 forms of eye protection, you should. So, if I'm wearing these, I'm also wearing one of 2 other things. I'm wearing this. I'm rocking them both. Why would I do that? Well, let's see. Debris, sparks, wood scraps, metal scraps, concrete scraps, whatever. If it's flying around, right? Now you shouldn't be doing anything that's just purposefully directing debris into your face, but with some things it's just inevitable. I've got the shield, which is literally protecting the fleshy parts of my face and most of my neck. This is important. You don't want things. This is the money maker. This is the money maker. I have to protect this. How else am I going to make successful YouTube videos? Without this, I've got nothing. So this is crucial. Secondly, these are important with this because there is spacing. I can get my hands in here, so that means small stuff and projectiles can still get underneath it. So in the off chance that something gets in underneath this, I've got these. These are formed around my eyes. So at the very worst chance that a random, very motivated a piece of debris finds its way around the full face shield and gets in here, then you have a second layer of protection to stop it from going into your eyeball. This is a no-brainer. So I bet you're thinking, Kevin, when the face shield, that sounds really good, but what if I'm welding? I can't look at the welding light. You're right. You should never look at the welding light. It'll make your eyeballs feel like a bag of sand. That is why we have a welding mask. Boom! And did you notice? I put it on with the glasses still on my face. Still here. Boom. 2 for 1. So now I've got glasses just in case sparks get in under my mask, which can happen. Anyone who welds knows this to be true. And now I'm double protected. Another note is some of you may even be thinking, Kevin, what if I'm grinding? What if I'm using an angle grinder or something that's creating sparks? This has a grind setting. I also, because grind sparks are not dangerous to look at. You don't want to stare directly at the grind sparks for no reason. But you can use this guy. Is acceptable for grinding. But if you're going to be welding, you have to wear a weld mask. And you need to also have on safety glasses. Now another thing about welding. Welding requires a lot of in advance safety preparations. Welding light is not only damaging to the eyes, it'll make your eyes feel like a bag of sand if you look at the arc. The light's bad for your skin, and it creates sparks and a sludge that can often splatter, that if it comes in contact with your skin, it is going to burn you. In fact, sparks can catch your hair on fire, your clothes on fire. This is true life. Ripped jeans, you're trying to look like Alan Jackson, you got the ripped knees and all the little frills are hanging off of it, those are flammable. Absolutely flammable. So, it is crucial. First thing, got the little welder's cap. My wife thinks this thing's hilarious. It's got the little bill. I like wearing it backwards. Look at this. Wow, I look freaking amazing. Now, I've got the top of my head protected. Boom. I got my safety glasses on. Boom. I have a pair of earbuds that I actually left sit over there like a dum-dum. But I put those on too because they fit underneath my welding mask. Now you're thinking, okay, Kev, but what about the rest of your skin? You're exactly right. What about it? This is why we got other things. Not to mention, I almost completely forgot. Your lungs, your sweet baby lungs. You have to protect your lungs. So, respirator, but not just any respirator. This is a respirator made for welding and grinding. Not all respirators are created equal. Don't come into the shop with your COVID mask thinking that that's going to protect you. In fact, definitely don't do that because they're flammable, and if sparks hit them and get on them, it's probably just going to catch your face on fire, and then you're going to end up looking like the guy from Batman with like one side of his face is like messed up and the other side's not. You're going to be called Two-Faced, and it's no good. We don't want that. So, this is a respirator actually from Miller. Miller is a welding company. I picked this up at my local air gas supplier, and this thing's fantastic. It makes me feel like Bane. How do I look? Do I look amazing? So now I got this, I got this, I got this, I got this. It fits. It fits. It all fits. Don't make excuses. So now my head's protected. My eyes are protected. My ears are protected with the earbuds that I left sit over there. My lungs, my sweet lungs are protected. But what about my arms? What about the rest of my body? How do I make sure that the weld sparks and the grind sparks don't burn through my precious RTS barbell shirt? Well, we have options for that as well. Welding gloves. They make welding gloves for general welding, MIG welding, TIG welding. I'm not going to get into the nuances, but they make gloves for everything. They sell gloves at your local hardware stores. You can order them online. It doesn't matter, but you need to make sure you have the proper gloves. These bad boys are thick and they're leather and they go almost up to my elbow. These are fantastic, but I don't wear them by themselves. I'm either going to have on my trusty my thinner welding jacket. This is covering every part of me, and I mean every part of my upper body. I'm gonna get this on here. I'll snap it up, and this is gonna be a big, big help. So now I've got that. I'm gonna pop these on, and look at me go. I'm cruising. I am on my way to being safe as can be when welding, and I don't have to get yelled at by my wife for being an idiot and her saying, "I told you so." So now I gotta slip this on, and I'm here. Boom. It's that easy. It's that easy to be safe when you're welding. All of this applies to grinding also. Absolutely every part of it. I actually use different gloves to grind on things than I do my nice welding gloves, but it's all the same principles. You have to take it seriously. So I know what you're thinking, Kevin, if you're welding, you must be handling a lot of metal. Well, yes, you're brilliant. You're connecting dots so quickly that I can barely keep up with you, and this is my video. If you're handling metal, guys, I don't recommend using your nice, beautiful welding gloves to just handle the raw materials before welding. When you go to the store, you go to the metal yard or the scrap yard, and you need to pick up, that beautiful rusty pipe that you're going to turn into a lawn ornament. You need to have some basic protective gloves. These are just basic construction gloves. Some people might call them mechanics gloves. There's varying nuances to all that. You need to have gloves on. It is so easy to cut yourself on metal. It's so easy. In fact, I once had to go to the urgent care because I cut my thumb open on a can of beans. On the lid of a can of beans. Yes, even I, Mr. Safety, can get caught sleeping on the job sometimes. AKA in my kitchen, trying to open a can of beans for my wife so we can cook dinner together, and I ended up having to sleep upright so that I could go to the urgent care in the morning, so that I didn't have to go to the emergency room and spend $10,000 to get a few stitches. Enough with that. What about chemicals? We talked about that a little bit with the eye protection. Chemicals, chemicals, chemicals. I'm a fan of these. You gotta make sure they're fit tight to your face. Chemicals, your high school science teacher was on to something. But what about your skin? Well, if you're working with significant chemicals, I don't recommend having your skin just bare and open. Things called rubber gloves, nitrile gloves, if you are allergic to the other kind. I'm completely blanking on the name. You have to take this skin health, skin safety seriously. And let's have a note. Let me just call out the elephant in the room. I know somewhere, some of you know someone that has done something outrageous, like worked on their car and then taken the brake cleaner that they use to clean the brake rotors and all the other parts that they were working on off, and then they sprayed it on their hands and rubbed their hands together, and that was clean. Do you know how outrageous that is? Do you know how insane of a concept that is? If you even take 4 seconds and you have a first degree reading ability, you look at the back of the can. I have some sitting over there. I wish I could just Harry Potter it, Accio it over here and show you guys. The back of it literally talks about how carcinogenic it is. Carcinogens. Can cause cancer. Some of these things will burn your skin. This is so not cool. You have to take it seriously. So don't be a hero. Wear rubber gloves. If you're working with paint, gasoline, acetone, any chemical. There was a chemical that I bought. I had to do a pre-treatment of some wood before I stained it, and the pre-treatment chemical literally couldn't even be disposed of. Like, after I used it, the excess, it was just basically, they might as well just said, good luck. I blew my mind. It blew my mind. So, it's so important that you take these things seriously. Look at the products you're using. There's so many different products in the world. Ranging from basic gasolines all the way to stains and strippers and who knows what else. So rubber gloves, proper eye protection, maybe wearing a long sleeve shirt is an excellent idea. You're not too cool to be safe. Another thing, I've alluded to it before, but ear protection. This is a huge one for me. I actually cannot stand the loud sounds of power tools. I can't stand it. And in fact, if you've ever taken the time to understand the relationship between how loud, say, like traffic is, like you're walking on the street, bebopping, boop, 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 and like traffic's happening around you, how many decibels that is, I think it's like generally 85 decibels. Don't quote me on that. I'm not a sound scientist, but I'm pretty positive it's like 85 decibels. Ear protection. These tools are way louder than that. Have you ever cut metal with a cutoff wheel and an angle grinder, or ran a miter saw, or a planer, or a table saw, or any power tool, a concrete drill? Have you ever used a concrete drill, an impact gun? Oh goodness, they're so loud. They're so loud. So you have to protect your ears. These are 3M bad boy earmuffs that they sell at Home Depot, Lowe's, online, everywhere. These are great. I'm sure they make even better ones. Somebody out there's gonna be like, Kev, dude, they make ones that literally make you, it's just, you're deaf. You can't even hear yourself. Well, these do just great for me. I can still hear myself, but I do not get the abusive, loud, horrible sounds of these tools the way that I would if I didn't have them on. And again, these are superior to those little like foam ones that you can get like for free and you just stick them in your ear. Those are something, but you can always find better options, more effective options. I promise you, take the time to look. Now, let's talk about joints. Like, I mean, who fucking cares about joints, right? Like, oh, knees, you gotta keep those going for like 100 years. Guys, it's so important. Do you want to get to 40 years old and be the guy with the trick knee and he can't run around and play with his kids and grandkids, or because you just couldn't help yourself and used to lay and kneel on the concrete freaking constantly? It's ridiculous. It's a dumb thing to do. They make knee pads. Knee pads. Knee pads are crucial. I wear them to bed. Like, that's how important they are. Okay? So your joints, your beautiful, precious, knobby knees need love too. So if you're going to be doing a lot of stuff that's ground-based, you're working in the sinks, you work on floors, you work on trim, anything, you're an electrician, you work on a lot of plugs, you need to utilize knee pads. It also, as a very random side note, it just occurred to me that the chair that I'm sitting on is squeaking a ton, and I apologize for that. If that's registering, I apologize. I stole these from inside. Next thing, we're not going to talk about this yet, but this right here is the whole reason I even thought to do this video right now. Shoes. These are Keen steel-toed shoes. Now listen to me. I'm a big fan of, I wear minimalist shoes most of the time. I'm just a big fan of that. But if I'm working with metal here in the shop, that means I'm probably welding or grinding. And these bad boys offer me a couple layers of protection. One being is the steel toe in it. Ideally should help me out if something falls on my foot. Next, if I'm doing things that are creating splatter, aka welding, if I'm doing things that are creating sparks, aka grinding, I don't want the sparks falling on my shoe and burning me. It's happened because I forgot to put these on once, and I'll never do that again. These are going to protect me. They're leather, they're thick, they're juicy. They're going to keep your feet safe. I know it sounds trivial, but burned feet is not cool. It's not hip. It's not fresh. You need to take these things seriously. I don't even know where I'm at anymore. We covered face protection, respiratory protection, I said face, eye protection, head protection, knee protection, hand protection, skin protection, feet protection. I mean, what about facility protection? Look, shit happens. Sometimes bad things happen to beautiful people. So don't go into your shop and do cutting and grinding and welding if you don't have a fire extinguisher. And make it a proper fire extinguisher. Make it one that's suitable for electrical fires, as well as gas fires or or solvent fires or things like that. Here's a really important note. Don't ever spray water on an electrical fire. If I'm the first to tell you, then I don't know what to say. But you're hearing it now. Don't spray water on an electrical fire. Make sure you understand the difference between fire extinguishers. Hell, I'll even do a video explaining the nuances to the ratings of fire extinguishers and how you know what to get and why it matters. So, have the proper fire extinguisher. Have many of them. And have one that's suitable for the square footage of your facility. Don't just get a little dinky one that you can keep in your car and then you have a 2,000 square foot facility and you might as well just throw it out the window. It's not going to do anything for you. So, fire extinguishers are crucial. Learn about them, and I'm going to do a video to teach you about it. Guys, first aid kit. A first aid kit. But just not any first aid kit. Not just I ran to the grocery store and they bought some generic thing that had 3 Band-Aids and a chapstick in it. You need to be mindful and thoughtful about putting together a proper first aid kit. And really what I would call a trauma kit. Because it's very likely that you could find yourself in a situation that could be much bigger of a deal than just a little paper cut. Okay? Having something like a tourniquet. If you don't know what a tourniquet is used to cut off blood flow to the major 4 appendages, your 2 arms and your 2 legs. You would not use this for a neck, FYI. I just feel like that needed to be said. A tourniquet, this is a Cat 5 tourniquet. I'm not going to go through opening it up and demonstrating it, but do your research on Cat 5 tourniquets. These are really important. I promise you, if you do something that's causing you to bleed out of your arm or leg, you're going to literally die, probably, without having one of these to stop the bleeding. This is so important. Things like gauze, to be able to pack wounds. They make other kinds of tourniquets. This is a SWAT tourniquet. A SWAT tourniquet is basically like a giant rolled up rubber band. This is useful for a baby. Not that a baby should be in your shop, because you can get around the really tiny appendages, or you can use this in ways that the cat tourniquet just isn't suitable for. So that's something to look into. What else do I keep in here? A Sharpie. Why do I have a Sharpie? Kev, why do you have a Sharpie? Well, here's the thing. If you have to use this Cat 5 tourniquet, your day is pretty bad. But if you or your significant other is around and you have to use this, it's important that they know to mark, or if you have the ability to do this yourself, mark what time you put it on. Or if you're putting it on your significant other, or your kid, or your neighbor, or whoever, put the time on it. In fact, the Cat 5s come with this little tab right here that says what time it's supposed to put on. Why is that? That helps the first responders and the doctors know, wow, this has been on him for 2 hours from the time that it had to get put on to being run. They need to know these things. This is really, really helpful stuff. So that's something to have, is a Sharpie. What else is in here? I've got basic Band-Aids. I've got other types of self-adhesive tape. I've got a little multi-tool. I got stuff for burns, an eye wash kit, all of these things. You need to literally sit down and make a list of all the ways you could get hurt, and then plan for all of those and more. And that's what you need to have around. Now, I showed it before, but I did not tell you why this magical broken disc is here with us today. The other day I was working on a custom steel frame for a console table in our living room that my wife has requested I make. And I was running a DeWalt chop saw with this 14-inch metal cutoff wheel. And the clamping mechanism on this saw is quite old. It was my dad's saw. And he's had it for a long time. And the clamping mechanism on this saw, for whatever reason, allowed my metal tube to move just a little bit as it was cutting. I don't know why. I know it was quite tight. I know that as far as I could tell, everything was in proper order because I made sure to check it. But for some reason it moved. Because you know what? Even the most equipped, even the most cautious people, things still happen. Tools will do what tools do. And some things are just dangerous even with all of the precautions in the world. So what happened was the metal moved a little bit. The blade caught the metal because the angle was not correct, and it exploded this thing as I was cutting. Now, check it out. I had my glasses on with my face shield. I had my cap on. I had long sleeve on. I had a respirator on. I had gloves on. I was as well protected as I could have been, minus having a bulletproof vest on. So I was fine. I had no issues. There was no negative consequences to this happening. I literally unplugged the saw. I undid the bolt, took this off, cleaned it up, made sure nothing was too bent or broken, and I put a new one on. And I thought to myself, man, I need to make a video about that. And so that is what made me think the next video I do, it needs to be a safety video. Guys, this is so important. I've been rather comedic this entire time, but really, sincerely, you need to take all of this stuff seriously. Do not be someone who is too cool to be safe. Don't be someone who's too cool to wear a helmet when you're riding your bike. Don't be someone who's too cool to put on safety glasses. Don't be someone who's too cool for any of this stuff. Be thoughtful and be mindful of what you're doing. All of this stuff is very dangerous. And every time you go into your shop or you go into a job site or you work with something out in your yard, be mindful, be considerate, and I'm going to leave you with this. This is such an important lesson. You have to respect and fear the tools you use. A table saw is so dangerous that if you don't respect it and you give it the fear that it deserves and you become complacent, you could very well get bit. And that could be a horrible, catastrophic accident. The same is true for a chop saw. The same is true for a welder. The same is true for an angle grinder. An angle grinder, a basic 4.5 inch, 5 inch, 7 inch, whatever it may be, angle grinder that uses a cutoff wheel just like this but is much smaller. Brutally dangerous. If that blows apart just like this did, which they can and they will, and it hits you in the face, that could be a wrap. That's eyeballs, gonzo. So you need to respect these tools. You need to respect these materials. You need to understand that you have to think 10 steps ahead of everything to make sure you're not putting yourself in a position that is going to jeopardize you and put yourself in harm's way. Or if there's people around you, put them in harm's way. Here's a rule. Never let somebody stand directly on the other side of your table saw. I was on a job site one time and a hardwood floor guy was cutting a piece of hardwood floor, of course, and he had a job site table saw set up. The the blade of the saw grabbed that piece of hardwood floor. It pulled it through the saw, shot it out the other end, through a brand new window in a brand new, not yet lived in house, goes all the way out about 2 house distances away, hits the dumpster, and puts a massive dent in the side of the dumpster. No lie. So if you were to be a person standing on the other side, the receiving end of a table saw, and that happens, you're gonna be impaled. And I'm not trying to scare you guys. Actually, maybe I am. I'm trying to drive home just how serious this is. So be safe, guys. Take this stuff super seriously. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to this and tune in to F It, Let's Create. This is a new episode on safety. I appreciate you guys. Much love to you guys. Be safe. Don't let yourself sleep on the important stuff. And I'll see you in the next video. Much love to you guys. Peace.